This is gonna be a depression poem. This is gonna be a depression poem. This is gonna be a depression poem. So today I was gonna show you guys how I write blackout poetry. If you don't know what blackout poetry is, I'm gonna flash some examples up. I hope that was helpful. But basically what you do is you find some source text, be that a book or an article or a newspaper thing, or I don't know, a copy pasta. Oh, I should do a copy pasta. Anyway, you block out words, leaving behind certain words, and then you call that poetry. I write quite a lot of poetry just in general, need to get that depression angst out somehow. When I'm feeling not as creative, or rather, what's the word? When I've hit a writer's block, or I kind of am struggling to come up with my own words, I find blackout poetry really helpful because the stuff is already there for you. And once you've finished it, you've still then got something that you made. So I screen recorded myself on my laptop going through and making some blackout poetry. I tend to do my blackout poetry digitally because it means I'm allowed to make mistakes and I can then go back and, you know, remove the mistakes. I hate making mistakes. So I screen recorded my laptop with me doing that. At the same time, I did also film myself talking about the process, but looking back on it, I said, so step one is, for about 5 different steps. Okay, right, that's an exaggeration, maybe like 3 steps. Step one. So step one is also, there was a lot of me just going, ah, at it. So I figured I would just make it easier and actually plan what I was gonna say rather than trying to write blackout poetry and explain the process at the same time. Here we go. This is how I make blackout poetry. So step one, the real step one, is finding an extract. Now, I recently, within the last month, came across a website called recommendmeabook.com. That just gives you like the first half of a chapter or the first page or whatever of a random book. And I found that so amazing because a lot of the time I just have to Google book excerpt and it just comes up with, I don't know, a bunch of crap. I've also used the National Geographic. I've used quite a lot of their articles, other online newspaper articles from The Guardian, or, you know, anything that doesn't have a paywall because I am poor. But definitely the Recommend Me a Book has been really, really good for me. I will link that down below if any of you guys want to try it with that. So the way I pick an extract, once you find one, you just kind of skim read it a little bit, and if words jump out at you, then you pick that. You don't want to properly read it, and I will go into the reasons of why in step 2. You're just looking for interesting words. So for example, this one I did yesterday, I'm reading it, it's got cloudy moonlight, that's awesome, striking sunlit tones, golden yellow, wafting river fog, and I was like, well, that is amazing, and I'm using that, and I did. So that's how you pick an extract. You're just looking for a couple or a few or several interesting words. So step 2 is reading your extract. Now, as I said before, you don't want to properly read it, not like you're reading a book per se. You just want to skim read it and pick out the most interesting words, the words that jump out at you. So I go through and I change the colour of the words I like to bright pink. It's kind of hard to miss if it's bright pink. And you just go through and select the most interesting words. Now, once you've done that, that's when you can properly start, but I'm just going to put a disclaimer in. Sometimes you will come across the most amazing word and you won't be able to fit it in, and it sucks. But don't become too attached to these words. The words that we're selecting right now, they're kind of more of a guideline as opposed to stuff you are definitely going to use. So, step 3. Is this step 3? 1, 2, 3. Yes. So, step 3 is then trying to fit it together. This one is a little bit harder to explain. It's just basically trying to link ideas. You want to find a lot of words like the and a. You just try to link the ideas together. So now I'm going to show some footage of me actually writing the poem. This is one I made earlier. So overall, I prefer using Google Docs. I tend to write it on my phone. I was gonna screen record me writing it on my phone, but honestly it gets painful trying to do it on my phone sometimes. Like, you're trying to select a word and then the keyboard keeps popping up and moving the screen around and you're like, please stop. So I find that frustrating, and I'm actually doing the poetry. I did not want to put you guys through that. I just use Google Docs on my phone. There aren't really that many good blackout poetry apps. There is one I used to use called Blackout Bard, but it sucked for multiple reasons. Number one, exporting it was a bitch. It would fail loads of the time and I would just have to screenshot it too. It just doesn't look pretty. Like, they've added in all this cool stuff to try and block it out that looks all cool, and I'm like, just block it out, light black highlighter, please. Number three, it doesn't let you select a lot of words in one go. I think the limit is 5 or something, and most of the time that's quite good. But you're already pretty constrained in what you can say and how you can fit it together. Don't constrain me more. Let me be creative. I can't remember what number I'm on. Let's go for 5. Issue 5 is if there is any punctuation attached to any of the words that you use, you have to use it. You can't block that out, and that's really annoying because sometimes the word ends with a full stop, but you don't want the full stop there in your poem. Ah! The last problem is you can't pick out words within words. So for example, I turn there into the quite a lot, or any word that has an A in it. Like, I just want to use that A. I think I turned the word house into us the other day. You can't do that with this app. So Google Docs is definitely the best thing that I've found to use it. Hit me up if you have any other good blackout apps, because I would prefer an app. But honestly, if Google Docs works, I'm not gonna break it. It means it's all saved in my Google Drive and I won't lose any more poetry, because when I lose my poetry, I tend to cry. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Yeah, so that's how I write blackout poetry. Hit me up if you write any, because I always love reading other people's poems. If you want to use the same extract I used in this video, I will just copy and paste it and put that down below as well. And yeah, just be creative. I think it's something that anybody can do, which is why it's so fun. Sometimes it takes me 10 minutes to make one, sometimes it takes me an hour to make one. If an extract is not working for you, after about 10 minutes stop and do a different one. Like, you don't have to stick with the same one. You can give up on your dreams. Please don't quote me saying that. If an extract isn't working for you, just pick a different one. I think that's it, you know. I'm gonna go and edit this video now. Thank you for watching, and send me your poetry if you make any, especially if you make it with the extract that I used, because I love reading people's poetry. So yeah, see you nerds later. I tend to do it digitally. I tend to do it digitally. I tend to do it digitally. Is that how you fucking say? Woo! Digitally. Well, say it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Digitally. I'm gonna cut that out.